All right, what's up, folks? Welcome to Foreign and Domestic. And yes, we are on time. I know something's wrong with me, right? Alan, get us started off right if you would, sir.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most excellent. How are you, sir?
I am sounding a little bit better than you. And I have a little bit more up here than you. I'm doing not too shabby. It was just one of my standard work weeks, which is about double regular time for most people. But I am doing very, very well. I am currently searching for everybody's name in the participants list because I know there's people out there just bickering over who is going to be called out and who's not. But according to the YouTube participants list, Alaska one Andy, AllenBePro, hey, wake up, buddy. Burnaby Sanchez, Boomstick Revenge, Insight Freedom, Rich White, Thoughts of an Old Soldier, and of course, the most infamous person out in our side chat, the YouTube auditor, Go to Politics.
All right, all right. Jamie, what's going on, man? We'll get to Alan's hair here in a minute.
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to figure out neck turning. So
Is that the new cryptocurrency? What?
um, yeah, the RCBS hand case neck turning tool. I apparently have a malfunction. How's everybody doing? Look at this bunch.
JW, what you up to, man?
Oh, about 218 last I checked. Had a little bit of range day today. Had a good time. And just cleaned up, finished up tumbling some cases, cleaned up and filling some more up here and getting ready for Tuesday. Go out and do it again. Been a pretty good day.
Good deal. Good deal. The bald one himself. What's going on, dude?
Same old, living the dream. The USPSA season started, so get ready for some shooting videos.
What's happening, Daniel?
Oh, same old, same old. Beautiful day outside, no rain, so I went out there and mowed some grass. Yay. Second mowing for the year. I've got just about every single piece of brass in my house either loaded or cleaned and primed, ready to be loaded. And because this month is going to be a busy month month of shooting, taking my wife, another friend, and his wife to an IDPA clinic and shoot, introduce them to going out there doing just to get their feet wet and go in there and practice running and gunning. And after that, I got a PCSL for the following week. So I better have all my stuff loaded now because the PCSL is going to be a 2-gun event. So I just springtime's here, summer's around the corner. Time to have some fun. Thanks for the invite, man.
You've been casting. You've been casting at all?
Pardon?
Have you been casting at all?
No, because I have been able to buy Steel Valley for a ridiculous price. So if I can get 1,000 rounds for like $63, and that includes tax and shipping, why should I cast it? Waste my lead. I'm just stockpiling lead, is what I'm doing right now. And yeah, there's a bucket of lead down here for you, Scotsman, anytime you come around. If you wait too long, there's probably going to be 2 buckets of lead. Is that a powder measure I hear over by CW?
It could be. I can neither confirm nor deny that.
All right. So I'm sure everyone's wondering out there, and this is probably going to be a story, so we'll go get right to it. Alan, what's going on with the damn hair, man?
Well, I needed to differentiate myself from everybody on the chat, and being how I can't grow a beard, I figured I'd just grow it on my head. Yes, I look a little bit like Jay Leno, with a receding hairline. But you know, you got to find where you can let your freak flag fly. And in all actuality, I'm just being lazy and haven't fucking cut it.
Should we start a GoFundMe to collect the money?
Go away for a couple. We not have a show for a couple of weeks, and I have a full head of hair again. This is just how this works.
Yeah, I don't have that problem. CW knows what I'm talking about.
The rest he gave hair.
Shiny.
Hey, smart head doesn't hold the hair.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome to the chat the one, the only, old what's his name?
Yep. That's me. How are you? How is everybody? My chat is frozen. Everything. I just everything's delayed today. Can you hear me? Am I delayed or am I okay? Good.
You're good.
We can hear you.
Nice.
Well,
You're fine. You just checked into a dead panel this evening, but ain't nobody moving, nobody saying nothing. It's scary.
Yeah, well, my chat froze.
I have not insulted Bald yet, so it's like,
Daniel, I got news for you. It takes an intelligent person to insult me, so you're safe.
well, it's got to be a very intelligent person to get through to you to let you know that you're being insulted.
Yeah.
And we're off to the races.
Well, some people were complaining that it was dead air.
This episode of Foreign and Domestic not brought to you by Camacho Cigars, handmade in Honduras. Camacho Guitars. When you want to suck on a lit dog turd tasting cigar, Camacho, there you are, right there. Oh yeah.
Sold.
In other words, you want to suck on something thick and wet.
That's
Don't
burnt.
leave. Yeah, don't leave out the turd taste either.
It's actually kind of a mild cigar. It almost has just a tinge of bite right on the tip of the tongue, but not too bad. Not too bad.
Aren't you out there in Iowa? What's with the Cleveland made quality shirt?
Oh well, it's just one of the vendors that we purchase stuff from at my work. A lot of times I end up getting free clothes, and I'm not really opposed to anything free.
Okay.
Yeah,
just-
that's kind of how I came from SHOT Show with 10 extra t-shirts.
Cleveland made vibrators, by the way. Vibrators.
Industrial grade. Holy crap. So what makes a vibrator industrial grade?
I guess because these ones are typically air powered. They've got massive cylinders in them, and I mean, the ones that I deal with are about 1.5 feet long. They're black and they're heavier than shit. That's the kind of vibrators I deal with.
Hey, at least you're not ashamed to admit it.
Have you dealt with any of the ones that are gas operated, like a big pull start motor or anything?
No, not yet. These ones are just air over hydraulic operated. So they got some oomph to them, though.
Pull start
When
sounds
those
like a
things
lot
are
of work.
vibrating, you definitely hear it. You put one on each side and they vibrate unopposingly, or opposingly, whichever that direction is.
Nothing like working in a machine shop.
The ideas.
It's all fun until somebody cuts their finger or hand off.
Then you got to take that 395 days since last accident sign down and start all over again.
Yeah, and they send you straight out for a drug test.
It's funny. We had our maintenance crew had almost 3 years straight with nothing, and then someone ran over someone's foot with a freaking tow motor.
Ooh, that sounds like something I'd do.
Yeah, there's not a steel enough toe for that weight.
No, almost 3 years straight, and some dumbass ran over someone with a freaking tow motor.
Well, why did they have their toes in the way?
There's a lot to it, and surprisingly, the person didn't get fired, and I don't know how, but yeah.
Is like last week and stuff. I'm helping the wife, she's cleaning out goat barns and stuff. I'm in the side by side with a trailer on it, and I'm stopped there. I look at her. It's like, okay, I need to go there, hold the door open. I need to get up there close. And I pull up some and I stop and I look at her. And she looks at me. I look at her. She looks at me. So I pull forward and I ran over both her feet. She yelled at me. I said, which way do you want me to go, forward or backwards? I learned my lesson when I ran over the girl with the airplane, but when I was in the Navy. True story. Don't put your feet there if you don't want me to run them over.
All right.
Well, I was going to get into a topic of personal protective equipment, but 22 mag or 5.7.
22
Tell
mag.
me what you think.
Oh.
For what?
Anything.
What you using it for?
I think it's a very underrated SHTF caliber.
I would have to agree. It's very underrated.
What, the 22 mag?
Yep.
I would say availability is a huge weight in that decision too.
It's just that it costs so much more than 22 long rifle.
And it's much more powerful.
Well, I know. I've got a couple 22 magnums. I mean, my second gun was a 22 magnum. It kills groundhogs. It kills squirrels. It kills kitty. Hey, Fuzz is here.
Oh, it kills Chinese food?
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, if Fuzz is here, we can make her Chinese food. General Sauce chicken.
Definitely a lot more brass than that. A lot more powder. A lot more fun.
Hang on. All right. Do that again.
Oh, you want to do it again? We'll hold it up the way, the YouTube way. So, Mo better. Mario's not here yet, but Mo better. I have a lot of that. Maybe. It's interesting that it's in my desk drawer at work, too.
Nothing to see here.
No. So, who's played around with the 5.7 much?
I've shot the FN probably, I don't know, a half dozen times. It's not bad.
I used to have the FN, and the problem with both of them are they kind of boutique rounds, kind of hard to come by and kind of expensive. FN's gonna be probably a little bit more reliable because it's a centerfire. I mean 5.7 because it's a centerfire and it's shorter. The 22 Magnum, because it's so long and the brass is thin, you can literally have like a dent or bent casings that will prevent it from feeding, and it's a rimfire. So I would say it's a little more delicate, but none of them would be like my first choice for SHTF. You know.
And to counter that point, I've had a 22 Magnum since I was 11 years old, and I've never ever had a misfire. And it's very accurate.
There's no doubt about it. But how many rounds did you shot through it? You know.
How many? Thousands upon thousands.
I
don't have any like semi-automatic application on it. All mine's revolver and rifle. So I don't know about semi-auto, but I could see what you're talking about becoming an issue if you had some kind of feed system like that instead of
Well,
a huge part of it too. A huge part of it too is you got to factor in the cost. The 5.7 itself, just the FN, is ridiculously priced. Whether you go with the pistol or you go with the PN90.
But nowadays you can get Ruger, you can get Keltec, you can get a lot cheaper pistols. So that's not it. The cost of the ammo is the issue. I would say that the 22 mag would have a little advantage, especially if you have like a revolver or maybe a lever action, because if need to be, you can shoot a 22 long rifle through it.
Yeah.
Well, it still comes into play because you got to look at what's going on. A lot of people are complaining about the Ruger and the reliability of it, and same thing with the Smith and some others. So there's a lot of different things that come into play there.
There's people bitching about SIG all the time, and I got nothing bad to say about it.
Well, and that's one thing that I hadn't heard that much about is the Ruger being that bad. When we were with Milcert Mike Scotsman, shot his, he actually recommended the Ruger to me for the 5.7. He's like, in all actuality, it shoots better. Shoots better than the FN, he said. So
yeah, his shot okay. We didn't have any issues, but again, I'm just saying I've seen a lot of people say they had a lot of problems with it. But
isn't the Smith and Wesson, isn't that like a piston driven or something? It's not like a straight blowback, or there's something different about the Smith and Wesson in 5.7, isn't it?
I think that one's got a rotating on it.
No.
That one's not rotating. Which one is it then?
Okay. Well, why would anybody want a 22 mag and an AR anyways?
Why not?
I mean, my 22 mag is a lever action, is hunting, if I'm thinking, okay, AR, just go 5.56, 300 blackout, 308. I mean, that's for the big calibers.
I kind of agree on that. I don't think 22 mag because doesn't Keltec make that PMR something pistol for the 22 mag, and that thing has a lot of problems with what I said, where the casings are actually bending over, and there's a lot of issues for that.
Yeah, that was the one that Pops had, if I remember right, and he had a lot of trouble with his. I can remember him doing videos out at the farm with feed issues and stuff all the time with it.
I have one. I've had one for years. It feeds everything, but I did have to go through it, and they call it at Keltec. They call it a fluff buff. You have to polish and smooth out, go through everything. But that's becoming more and more popular with the lower price firearms today, especially stuff like Keltec. But it feeds everything. I can shoot. What's the other 22 Winchester rimfire WRF, which is a little bit less powerful, a little bit shorter. Mine will feed and cycle WRF.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that.
See, my thinking is a 22 Magnum. That is a purpose-built cartridge, hunting small game, and that's all I'd ever done with it, and it's always worked.
I mean, definitely for day-to-day use, I would go with the 22 over 5.7. It's going to be a lot easier to find, a lot cheaper. Like he said, it's 3 boxes of 22 mag opposed to 1 box of 5.7. So, but then again, 5.7, if you stock up, you can reload that.
That's the biggest thing I see with 5.7 is you can reload it, but it's not easy to reload.
Yep, it's a pain in the ass because it's a neck down cartridge. Isn't there also like a special coating on it?
I read that there's a special coating that you got to be careful you don't clean off, and it does degrade and does wear off, and at some point you're probably not going to cases anymore. Yeah, I've read all that. I've never reloaded.
Bottom line is, neither of these cartridges are really meant to be shot thousands of rounds, like for the competition or plinking or whatever. They more gonna be like either for a military purpose, like 5.7, or they're gonna be for like a small game hunting, like 22 mag. I mean, the whole 5.7 idea was because it penetrates a sort of body armor, but the regular commercial stuff you buy doesn't do that anyway. So, when it comes to penetration, actual ballistic, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between a regular 5.7 and 22 mag.
Yeah, they're pretty close. 5.7 is a little more powerful, but they're.
Now, if you're a military guy and you don't have to pay for your ammo, and you can have a P90 and stuff like that, it's a different story.
I've got and have had 22 mags in everything from single shots to semi-autos, European stuff, American stuff, to junk stuff. But it's a favorite little Magnum caliber of mine. I was just shooting it today.
The only thing I don't like about P9 is the magazine, man. The funky magazine.
Yeah, sideways bullets.
Bottom
I think
ejector.
it's pretty dang funky.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, I shot that that version that Keltec makes at SHOT Show at the range day, and that thing was damn accurate.
The CMR or the PMR?
No, that rifle or whatever the hell it is.
Oh, the 5.7.
What's it called?
Yeah, I know very little about it. I mean, I would assume that the 5.7's grain weight's a little bit lighter. The velocity's incredibly faster than even the 22 Magnum in comparable barrels.
So, not to take away from the subject, which we're not going to, but throwing out another caliber that you have that's a pretty freaking awesome caliber, the 22 TCM.
Oh yeah.
That's very comparable too.
Now that's smoking it right at 2,000 feet per second out of like a 5-inch 1911 barrel. So, yeah, that's a smoking little round. And out of the rifle, it's even a little bit better.
Yeah, Keltec
That,
R50 and 5.7.
that rifle's stupid accurate.
Everything old is new. It's 22 Hornet 218B. Same ballistics.
Bet the good old 22-300. The 1750. Those memes got me. I love that with that tiny little 17 round and a 50 caliber neck down cartridge.
Hey, you want a boutique cartridge with a power of 44 mag? Let's go FK Berno. I love the one I have. I mean, you can reload it. You just can't find bullets or freaking data for it anyway. You would have to literally make everything, and nobody makes dies for it. But if there's a will, there's a way.
So before we got started, well, right as we got started, there was a few people in the chat talking about neck sizing. We happen to have CW here, and Jamie is just getting started in neck sizing. So what are some of the benefits and what are some of the negatives to neck sizing?
Well, the biggest deal with neck sizing is it's first of all, you have to be loading cases that were fired in the firearm you're loading for. So in other words, only the fired can't be neck sized for that gun. So you can't neck size for your buddy's 3006 if you're shot him at your 3006. They won't work. And the reason behind it, or the reason for it, is the cases fit in the chamber perfectly. So to over exaggerate, your case isn't lying in the bottom of your chamber rolling back and forth before you fire it. It's fitted to the chamber so the bullet is centered in the bore. That's the theory, the claim behind it, and why it's supposed to be so much better.
And are you sizing the inside of the case too on the neck?
The neck size, you're just returning the neck of the case that holds the bullet to a couple thousand smaller to retain the bullet for neck tension. That's all you're doing. If you're sizing the body or moving the shoulder at all, you're not neck sizing.
Okay, well, what's it called when you're going in there checking the diameter and shaving it to make the inside perfect?
That's neck turning or ream.
Okay.
Not sizing. Totally different. What Jamie talked about at the beginning of the show was turning. Maybe Jason misspoke.
Yeah, neck sizing and neck turning are two totally different things, but they can be used together, I guess. But what the idea with neck turning is you want the thickness of the case neck the same all the way around. So that, like CW said, what we're talking about is a circle and a circle. And if it's not lined up, then when that bullet leaves that case, it's not going to be centered in the bore. It's going to move one way or another.
Yeah.
And if you're deer hunting at 100 yards, it don't matter. It just don't.
If you're going bullseye shooting, you're going to have so much tighter. You're going to be making one hole. The better chances of you just getting groups the size of your little fingernail.
Well, they don't quite get that good, but that's the goal. Yeah.
So would this be a double check on like fire forming brass? So if you're fire forming, basically the concept is that your brass is expanding to the chamber. So that specific round for that specific chamber is forming to that size and that shape. So if you're using fire formed brasses, there's still a need for turning and all of that.
Yeah, totally different reasons, different uses. Fire form generally is only a thing when you're making the cases. You can make the argument that you buy brand new brass and it's not perfect to your chamber because every chamber is a little bit different. So fire forming it makes it perfect to your chamber. So there is an argument to that point, but it's like Jamie said, it's one of those things. If you're a 100, 200 yard deer hunter, don't waste your time. If you're a 1,000-yard precision guy or a PRS kind of guy shooting that really long distances, yeah, then it can make a difference. And it's the same thing for neck turning. It's if you're just shooting 15 feet with your 357 or 9mm, you're never gonna have to worry about that or think about it. If you're a 100-yard deer hunter, you really don't have a reason to think about it. You can do it; it's not going to hurt anything, and it is going to improve your overall cartridge you create. But you're not going to see the difference on paper or in the game you harvest.
Okay.
No, you're going to get what, about a half dozen before you got to full length resize?
If we're going to go back to neck sizing, it's really only a useful thing for bolt actions. And that's because the bolt action has the camming power to be able to chamber around that hasn't been sized. If you're trying to do it in your semi-auto, you're just going to be pulling your hair out. If you're trying to do it in a single shot, your thumb isn't strong enough, likely strong enough. It's really a bolt action only thing. And at some point, depending on the pressures that you're running your cartridges at, you're going to have to full length resize 3 times in, 5 times in. Who knows? It's going to be different depending on the cartridge you're shooting. The pressures.
There's a simple way to tell though. Put your case in your chamber and close the bolt. And if you have to get that thing to close, yeah, it's time to full length resize, as opposed to just neck sizing. The just neck sizing thing though is a lot of the F class guys and bench rest guys, they don't do that anymore. I can see advantages and disadvantages, but
So while we're on the subject, and this one really kind of gets some people, but bumping the shoulder.
if you're bumping your shoulder back, you don't need you need a full length sizing die for that. You don't need a neck sizing die. So there's 2 different dies and 2 different processes.
Let me remove some of the mystique. If you're a reloader, you read your manual, and the manual tells you setting up your full length resizing die is you screw it, you run your ram up, put your shell holder in, you run your ram up to the top, you screw your resizing die in until it touches the shell holder, and then just a little bit more. So you just get a little bit of cam over, so your handle goes thump. That's the way you set up your dies if you read your manuals. You are pushing back your shoulders if your chamber is cut to SAMI specs and everything is within spec. You are moving your shoulders back. You just don't know how much. The whole move your shoulder back thing, as a standalone term or statement, is just when you are knowingly moving that shoulder a certain amount. 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, whatever you choose for your purposes. That's really where it came from. And the idea is that, number one, you're not overworking your brass. And number two, consistency. Because consistency, whatever it is, however it works out, is key to accuracy. Just doing things the same way. Not necessarily always right to get the end result of the same.
But you're stacking these processes.
Yeah.
Like when you start paying attention to how far you're bumping your shoulder back, the idea there is that consistency where your brass is expanding the same a regulated amount. In other words, that force is expanding that cartridge, that case out to the dimensions of the to the chamber the same every time as the bullet is leaving. See, because every time you fire a shot, that barrel is it's like a rope that you know how the hump moves down the rope. All you're trying to do is time it so that the bullet is exiting the bore, the muzzle, at the same point in the buggy whip every single time.
Yeah, and ideally that bullet exits at the top or the bottom of that sine wave. Because if it exits going on this, when think of your barrel whipping, your barrel actually is doing this every time you fire. Okay, if you ever see any slow motion shots, you'll see that barrel moving. So you ideally want your bullet to exit the muzzle when it's at the very top of that whip or the very bottom, because that's the stillest position of the barrel before it begins to move again. That's how and why these tuner brakes, that's how they work, and that's what they're doing. That's what we're doing when we find that 26 grains is better than 26.5 grains, because it's that much faster to move the bullet that much quicker or slower to be farther up that wave or farther. It's all about when your bullet exits the muzzle.
Yeah.
Is that called harmonics?
A little bit of what Jamie said about consistency. We talked a little bit about neck turning. So the bullet, the cartridge in your chamber, you pull the trigger, the primer ignites your powder starts burning, the gases expand, swells up the case, spits the bullet out the front. When you've got a case neck that's 20 thousandths on one side and 10 thousandths on the other, it's not centered in the barrel. So by neck turning, you're doing two things. Number one, you're helping it center up in the barrel so it releases evenly and smoothly, cleanly. And you're helping it release even and smoothly because thicker brass is stronger than weaker brass. So weaker brass is going to give before, thinner brass is going to give before thicker brass. Hence a belt on a case, a big thick base of the case where it's the strongest. Thicker brass is stronger, so it's going to move less. But if you've got a thicker neck on one side than the other, one side of your neck is going to move before the other side, and your bullet's going to come out cockeyed. I'm exaggerating, but it's what's happening.
Yeah, and then the other element in that is also like the contact of the actual bullet with the lands. You know, and people talking about trying to figure that microscopic measurement out down to so that there's not a jump. There's not a jump of dead air. As quick as it happens, you know. And I've heard different people. I hear Eric Cortina like poop on that. Like, no, that doesn't make any difference. Of course, he came up with a tuner.
Chasing them and trying to rely, overthinking doing that is kind of what he's poo-pooing.
Yeah.
Because it's a real thing. I mean, you need to know where it is because you don't want your cartridge to be jammed into the lands that you just loaded. You just loaded your 3006 180 and you got it loaded, you know, way too long and you're jamming it in and you're actually pushing the bullet into the case when you close your bolt. That's bad.
Pressure
and
problems.
Right. That you know where your lands are so you don't do that. So it's he's kind of tongue in cheek. It is important, but don't overthink it and don't rely on it so much that it just envelops you and becomes everything you're doing. That's kind of what he's saying. It is important to know. It is a thing to know about, but don't go overboard with it, is what he's saying. But like as you start loading different bullets, you'll find usually solid copper bullets tend to like a lot of jump. Like 50 thousandths a lot. They like a lot of jump. If you know anything about Roy Weatherby and his cartridges, part of his whole deal with getting more velocity and more powerful cartridges was because he built a whole lot of lead or a whole lot of jump into his chambers, into his chambers that he cuts in his rifles. And what it does is you pull that trigger, that firing pin falls, firing pin falls, it strikes your primer, it ignites your powder. Your powder starts to burn and create gases. Those gases rapidly expand, and they create the pressure based on the amount of fuel or powder that's there. So if that bullet jumps out of the case and it runs 20 thousandths, it's not bleeding off much. That bullet going into the case, now you've increased the frontal diameter volume area because now it's into the barrel, which is a few thousandths bigger than the case neck. It's dropping pressures, or it's allowing the pressure to expand, hence dropping it. So if that bullet can jump 100 thousandths before, or move 100 thousandths before it hits, now the pressures are going to drop. The peak pressure drop that instant, and overall be easier to contain with higher pressure, higher volume. And he figured it out, and it gets him good velocities and didn't hurt his accuracy because he's got some accurate rifles as well. So bullet jump is a real thing for a lot of people, and a lot of people really chase it, but it's not always the end all answer for accuracy.
See, your crimp goes into that as well. That's adding pressure, and a lot of people say it definitely adds some pressure, but for bolt action, I don't crimp at all. But these bench rest guys that are shooting one hole groups at 100 yards, they're using some pretty light neck tension on the bullets, and they're actually seating them long. Like CW says, they're closing the bolt. They're using the lands and grooves as their bullet seating die.
Right.
And they're closing it, and they go real slow, and then just real easily close that thing, and then bang.
Yep.
And
I know I'm kind of reliving a topic from, really it was a couple of years ago, because it seems like our buddy Kenny at some point started really posting videos obsessing about that exactly contact with lands and stuff, and then it kind of went back. Eric kind of threw it back directly at him, and I know there was a lot of discussion and debate, and basically what CW is saying is what I remember coming out of it. Don't obsess over it kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but
it
almost came across because it was almost sarcastic on Eric's part, where it was kind of like, but really what he was getting around to was just don't obsess over it. It's a close thing. It's not a precision thing, not down to like, let's do this down to this 1/1000th. So
you'll find there's very few things that are absolute.
Yeah.
Everything except, our good Lord and taxes and such.
Unfortunately, on the second part. So
another interesting thing to me is, and CW talked about that particular brand and of cartridges and rifles, and then you got the whole Ackley improved thing, and his thing was the angles of the necks of the shoulders, and he felt like that steeper shoulder was a thing, and I don't understand all this. All I know that is that each individual step that you take to improve accuracy by itself is probably going to help just a little bit, but it's an accumulative effect. It's like, I got this great big 383 stroker in my 1970 Nova, but I'm running small tires on it, and I can't get it to the ground. So, it's all about, it's the process.
I want to address something that old Thorzak's put up there about putting too much work in your loads. A couple of years ago, I made everything within like a thousandth and a half. I mean, the powder weight, the brass length, all this here stuff. And I'm out there shooting. I'm on my first box out there on the long range, and my elbow kept hitting all my ammo. And about 85 rounds stayed in the box, and it landed upside down, and all the tips were pointed every which way. So, as a matter of fact, I just got done pulling all those bullets and reloading them all here about a month ago.
So this is the thing. If you're a tinkerer and you have time and you like that stuff, man, it's very rewarding at the end of the day when you see those groups, and you can walk out there at 100 yards and put a dime over your group, and that's cool. But Gorzak's is absolutely dead on in the point that, hey, we're supposed to be having fun. At the point in time, that's the reason I quit playing golf, is because the guys I was playing with made it not fun anymore. So I'm paying money to go out there and be with these guys for 4.5 hours. And if I'm going to do that, it better be fun. And when it stops being fun, I quit doing it. Remember, it's your time and it's your money. You can spend it however you want to. There's only one thing for sure, is you're not getting any of it back. So
when you reload, are you doing it just for due to therapeutic? I mean, or it's whatever you enjoy. If you want to be totally anal reloading, be anal if you enjoy it. If you just want to have it so you can blast away, just don't make it dangerous and use the wrong powder.
there you go, Tommy boy. If you believe it helps, then do it. Make sure you're having fun and enjoying what you're doing. There's V-Borg.
Yeah, there's Redbird out there. Her method of reloading is just fill it up and then put a little bit more in before you put the bullet in.
Then take the bullet and jam it in there and just, make sure you get a good compress.
Make sure it crunches. If you're using Trail Boss, don't do that.
I've popped a number of their hot loads, man, and they're hot.
Especially if we just sweep up whatever you got on the floor and put that in the casing.
Yeah, it's a cocktail gunpowder, right? It's got a little 3031 in there. We got a little H110 in it. So.
Are you going back to the future? Old, what's his name?
It's coming. Tomorrow's coming. I got to get ready. I'm prepping.
I don't have it.
That's why I went and bought toilet paper today.
Are those glasses actually make such a difference? Because I wasn't planning on getting glasses at all.
Yeah, if you look at the sun, you're going to burn the center of your retina in the back. You're going to have a blind spot right in the middle.
Yeah, I'll put the freaking sunglasses on.
I can't see a thing with those on. I can't see any of this with those on. So
my welding mask will work?
Yep.
Yeah, your welding mask will do fine.
Same concept. Yeah.
You got to remember that welding is X amount of thousands of times brighter than the sun. So, yeah, your welding mask will be fine.
No, I've got to make sure I pack it.
I thought the sun was brighter.
I forget how many thousands it is, but it's X amount of thousands brighter than the sun. So,
Really?
Bless you.
Thank you.
Number 12 or darker. Yeah, I have no idea what that means. So whatever the hell I have, that's what I'm going to use. I don't plan on staring into sun for too long. I'm just going to look up for a couple of minutes and get back to my freaking work. I ain't got the time for that. Did you hear that even inmates from jail got a pass to go look at the freaking eclipse? At least in New York.
Not my kids. Their school system said there will be no excused absences tomorrow for the eclipse. They will expect to be at school. They'll be watching a live broadcast of it on the television.
There you go. They don't need glasses for that.
Yeah, the last time I took both of them out of school and took them to the park, and we had glasses and watched it.
I thought it was going to be in the middle of the night.
No,
It's like 3
Not
o'clock in
here.
the afternoon.
It's like 2:30 there in Middle Tennessee. It's about 3:38 or something here in Knoxville. I think 3:28, something like that.
CW, you're thinking of a lunar eclipse. That's with the moon when it disappears. This is the sun is going to disappear.
Yeah, my sister went somewhere upstate so they can see like 100%. Like 4 hours away. I'm like, the hell with that.
Yeah, I'm right in the middle of the totality, so we're gonna go over friend's camper, make a barbecue and day of it.
Speaking of driving so far, I bought the gayest car there is. I bought a
Prius?
I bought a Prius. But
Is it baby blue?
no, it's not. It's silver. I call it Silver Bullet. And I love that stupid gay car. I need a sticker that says I'm not gay, I'm just broke. Because that thing does 40 miles to a gallon, which is about 25 more than my truck does. And yeah, I mean, a little challenge to get in and out, but you know,
It's the most plasticky car.
Doesn't Big Al have one? I thought he drove one.
I love that thing. That thing is awesome. Freaking fill up the gas tank for $30 and drive forever.
Yep.
What's it take? Like 15 seconds to get to highway speed?
It's not that bad. I mean, it's got like a 1.5 liter engine plus the electric. It takes a little bit, but you know what? Then when somebody passes me and I look at the dash and it says I'm doing like 45 miles to a gallon just about now, I'm just laughing at them because they're probably doing 8 miles to a gallon while they're passing me.
Has your Tesla started rusting yet?
No, but speaking of Tesla, I actually saw the Tesla Cybertruck on the road yesterday coming back from the match. I actually saw it coming in the opposite direction. Holy crap! It looked like a UFO.
Oh, I thought you got yours already.
No, I didn't. Not for $96,000. No, thank you.
Oh.
They offered to finance it for me for $1,800 a month. Yeah, Torzex, it's a tampon on the wheels. Yeah, it did. Absolutely. There's no, but you know what? I don't care. It's 2007. It's got 100,000 miles. It was freaking a couple of grand, and you know it's paid for. It's cheap on gas, and it's cheap on maintenance. So I don't care.
And it's been around long enough that when the battery pack goes on, you can find aftermarket replacements instead of the Toyota.
Yes. Yeah. And everybody I talk to puts 300,000 miles on them without issues. So you know what? I wasn't, you know, for the money I spend in it, I just don't care. It just it'll pay for itself in a year, literally.
What you need to do is get a little electric motor, drill a hole through your trunk, and put a big like crank nozzle right on the top of the trunk. That way, when you're going down the road, that crank's slowly turning.
Laugh all you want. You know, here's my son, 6'6", close to 400 pounds. Poor guy had to get in it because he was driving it home after I got it inspected, and he kept pushing the seat back, and it just couldn't get it anymore back. And I had a hell of a time seeing anything out of it, but no, he made it back.
Yeah, I pulled the door like that off of that like holder thing in the door once and snapped the door holder out of my buddy's car. It's so plastic on the inside, and it's light. That's part of how they get that kind of mileage out of it. They're just super light. But I have never seen more in-your-face conservative stickers on the back of the car than he had on his. He was like overcompensating completely.
Yeah, I gotta get some kind of sticker, something that says, you know, either I'm not gay or something like I didn't vote for Biden.
At least it's not a Subaru.
Yeah. So, well, no, my kid's driving a Subaru. So
My son is too.
That's just more of a reason to get that bumper sticker, though.
I'm at a point of my life and the age that I don't care who thinks what. I can care less. You know, it actually looks cool when a big guy like me gets out of a tiny car like that. So people kind of scratch their head. How did he fit in there? You ever see that Police Academy movie when that big high tower guy, he ripped the front seat out and he sat on the back seat and he got pulled over?
Those are classics. That guy that could make any noise, he was
Oh
amazing.
shit! New York Outcast is driving a Subaru, so I'm definitely getting, at least it's not a Subaru sticker.
That explains a lot.
So apparently Rob has a Civic and a Subaru.
No, I
Rob,
think
He's
Civic
just on
finally,
the wrong side of life.
I think that Civic finally died. Knowing him, he probably still sold it to some homeless guy. Yeah, Tim has a good point. That's a good sticker. I drive this because you voted for Brandon.
I need that sticker.
No, Mark, he can't put my bumper sticker on there. It's not going to happen.
Nah, in all the seriousness, I had it for like a little over the week. I already put like 1,000 miles on it. So I'm like saving my truck, and in 1,000 miles, I don't think I put as I don't think I spent the kind of money that I would spend on a one tank of gas in my truck and do maybe 300 max.
So
What
your
you
Prius is
should do, Val,
replacing
is
the work
straight
truck?
pipe it, so at least it sounds like more like a weed whacker.
I ain't doing shit to it. I'm not spending money on this car. This car solely supposed to get me from point A to point B. That's it. It's surprisingly roomy. It's surprisingly comfortable. It surprisingly has a pretty big freaking trunk to put a shit in it. And you know what? If I got a ton of guns in the fucking trunk and I get pulled over, I guarantee the cop ain't gonna be thinking I have a guns in that car. So you know what? It's inconspicuous as could be. Low profile. I'm a gray man in a silver bullet.
He's throwing the gun thing in there. The whole thing is we know the Prius has replaced his work truck. So he's got a trunk. He can throw his tools in there and go to work in his Prius.
It's
Nah.
a Prius. It's a Prius with a 4x6 trailer.
No, thankfully, my jobs are closed. So I took for the jobs, I still bring the truck because all the tools are in it, and I gotta get the materials. But pretty much everything else, all the other driving, even to the gym, I leave the truck and take the little stupid gay car.
So wait a minute, Bald. Did you lose some weight or something? Because she was telling us something before the chat started. So I'm just wondering if did you trim down, bulk up, or something?
No, I lost the weight back then. Then I gained a little bit while I was sitting home after the surgery for a while, and I kind of bulked up. So I lost the fat, replaced it with some muscle.
So that's why you got hit on there in the grocery store.
Yeah. Well, no, you're gonna see. You know, I'll show you shooting videos. I move a lot faster, and look a lot better, a lot more aerodynamic.
High speed, low drag.
Exactly.
You feel it. You start to lose 20, 30 pounds. You feel it. You feel it in everything you do.
Yeah, I gained a little bit. I kind of stabilized at about 245. The lowest I was 226. I mean, I still gotta working my way to 6-pack. But eventually, by the summer, hopefully.
I had 6-pack.
All right, Alan, we're right at halfway, man. You want to go through the side chat?
Now, what is it with you and time? I mean, we started on time. You're like a minute and a half early on the set. Just you got an agenda or something that you're trying to follow tonight, or what? Because dang, I mean, you were on that clock like white on rice here. Christian Guest, Edward Petty, Mark Thomas out there, the most gorgeous eyebrows on YouTube, Mario Mosen, New York Outcast, reloading from the hot spot, Rob Painless, Thor's Axe, Tim S, Tommy Boy, and Vanessa Kitty.
Dang, Rob, you're ruthless, buddy. You're ruthless. Hey, Mario.
Yeah, we didn't. Hey.
So, what do y'all guys think about the Camaros?
Oh, the new ones or the old ones?
No, the new ones, the retro.
They ain't retro. They suck.
That's like
There's like
saying, what do you think of the new Mustangs, dude? That's not a Mustang. It ain't a Mustang unless it's an old 60s, 70s Mustang. That's a Mustang. The new
Fastback.
generation, that ain't a Mustang, dude.
Yeah, 1968.
Yeah,
like
even
It definitely. So I positively am more of a Camaro fan than a Mustang fan. I don't really care for Mustangs. I never really have. Whoever's butt that hurts, whatever, suck it. But the newer Camaro, man, I'm having trouble getting on board with it. I don't know if that's something that would grow on me over time. But I'm not really digging it.
Oh, see, and
It's
I'll probably hurt some more people. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm more of a Chevelle guy. Give me a
Absolutely.
71 Chevelle.
yeah,
When
I'm good with
67
that,
to
man.
69 Chevelle, easy.
I heard
I had
they're coming with a retro Chevelle.
It's on the Camaro frame though. It's basically at this point that's what I don't know if they're mocking it up, but they've used the Camaro frame to do one that it looks better. It looks way better.
The
I
Challenger Hellcat. That's the only way to go.
I don't know. People must have been a lot smaller because all those 60s, 70s Camaro Mustangs, all them freaking muscle cars. There's not a whole lot of room in them. I mean, sat in a
Oh,
couple.
they're
I couldn't get the
tiny,
seat.
dude.
Couldn't get the seat.
They're
back.
tiny.
I had a 72. I had a 72 Chevy Malibu. It was just a 350 car, but the Super Sports had a 396 4-speed, and that is awesome. 68, 67 to like 72. Older the better, obviously, but Chevelles are the way to go, Scotsman. That's a bad ride.
It's
So
probably been about 8 years or so since I was in there, but I sat in a Camaro and I barely fit in the damn thing. Just my legs alone. It was a tight fit, and I had that thing all the way back, and yeah, super tight fit.
This is the thing. You can take a Camaro and you can put the hottest engine Chevy's got in it. You can get that 6-speed racing transmission, the racing rear end, all that stuff. But you still got a Barbie doll car.
Whoa. My first car was a 71 and a half Camaro Raleigh Sport. And it had a full roller cam. I mean, a racing engine put in that thing. A hot car could get me in a quarter, but if standing side by side at 50 mile an hour, you punch that pedal down twice, it lit up the highway.
See, Gene's got a point. The Novas were a lighter body style than the Chevelles, a little bit shorter, a little bit more compact, but they were bigger enough than the Camaros that you could really build some stuff in those Novas.
Now, will like an 80s Camaro be classic another 20 years from now?
They just suck.
Oh, technically, it's considered a classic now. You got to remember, you're an old fucker.
Yeah, look who's talking. A freaking a teenager. Just because you got a hair like teenager doesn't mean the rest of the body follows.
I tell you, I had a buddy that had a 79 Trans Am. It was that 6.6, the 400 cubic inch. For a naturally aspirated engine, that thing was a terror. I mean, it would freaking just burn both wheels. He would leave skid marks up every street in the county. I mean, just burning out for a quarter mile up every street he went up. That was a pretty powerful. Now, put that up against what do we mention here? Daniel, you mentioned the Hellcat, all of that stuff. What they're doing with those with superchargers, most people have no business behind the wheel of one of those.
Absolutely.
No. And those Hellcats are the number one stolen car. They can't even get them out of the showroom before they're stolen.
Yeah.
As much as I love those cars, I mean, unless I really go on a drag strip, I got zero interest of owning one. It's nothing but a fucking, death trap and ticket trap. You know what? It's just the amount of traffic nowadays on the road and all that. God forbid you attempt to burn out on the street. Somebody will probably call the cops right away. It's just.
I thought of that when he had the cigar and he was going like this. I mean, he had the glasses, got the hair, except Ponch now. He's like going retro with the gray hair.
Yeah, he's going to be playing. He's going to be playing
Alan,
Journey.
you plan on doing the whole Locks of Love thing again, or are you growing it all the way out? Are you going crazy with it?
I honestly haven't decided yet. I have yet to decide. I highly doubt it. Simply because I don't think Locks of Love is really going to want this natural color of a hair. And in order to donate to them, you don't color anything. You don't have, you don't put chemicals in it, whatever. But yeah, I'm not sure if Locks of Love would actually take it. But
I don't happen to have
handy, for now it's growing out. And
do you have
I just might let it go. See what
you have
happens.
your Rico Suave picture handy for those that haven't seen it?
Oh, I can obtain the Rico Suave very, very quickly here.
I don't have it handy
because dang. Many years ago, I have had very, very long hair throughout my life.
What's scary is
and that's when I was posing for romance novels and on horseback, typically with some mountain scene behind me or whatnot. But I have grown my hair out numerous times and chopped it off and donated it to Locks of Love. And if you don't know what Locks of Love is, they started off predominantly just making wig for cancer patient children. And so they've expanded out past that. Now they've gotten a lot larger. But in those days, it was literally just for child cancer patients. And so I grow it out for an extended period of time and then donate it to Locks of Love.
Hey, who does good photoshopping?
Well, I can't grow it like I used to, but I had a Fabio look going on as well.
What's scary is these guys unibrow, bro.
Yeah, I had everywhere. So
these guys save these pictures and actually have them on their phone. You go to
that's the only thing we got left.
But who does good photoshopping? Because we need to get CW's face on one of those.
I left high school, Daniel. I was 6 foot tall, 260 pounds, with a 31-inch waist.
I was 5'8", a 24-inch waist.
I had 22-inch thighs. I was big, with hair down on my shoulders.
That was standard back then. You had to have hair down to the shoulders.
It was what, 82, 83, right?
This is me when I left the high school.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I bet you still have that Speedo too.
Probably somewhere.
All you guys with hair, man. I haven't had hair in freaking, even when I was in high school, I still didn't have hair.
That's me. That's not me. I wish that was me.
I am thrilled. I just found about 500 rounds of 69 grain 223s. I didn't know I had
Woo.
bullets, just projectiles.
Fully loaded.
No, just projectiles. Just
Hey, CW, if you ever need help to come and clean up the basement, I can volunteer.
Val, I think you'd be scared. I think
Yeah.
you'd be fun if you saw what you had to move.
No, I would just
probably
whatever
get lost.
whatever I find and you don't know about it, I would just keep.
Oh, I'm sure there's more. I didn't realize that I still had it all. I don't generally get over here on this side of my bench. I'm always over there.
I did the math the other day, and reloading like 77 grain for the precision, it's not even freaking worth it. You can buy them cheaper, especially that 77 grain AAC ammo or similar. I did the math. There's absolutely 0 cents to reloading that precision round. By the time you buy the Sierra Match bullets and all that, I think you're losing money. Even like a 9mm. I mean, thank God for the cast bullets and coated bullets. You know, that's where you beat the store-bought ammo big time. But the cost of components went up so much that.
Later, Rob. Appreciate you, man.
Tommy boy, you don't have a 45? Come on, that's un-American to not own a 45.
No, I had a 45 in 15 years. Damn.
I don't shoot a lot of 45. As a matter of fact, I get rid of most of the 45 brass. I just keep the 45 brass with a small primer. This way, if I do reload, I don't have to mess around with the priming system. And you bitching about me saving a picture on the phone? You saving a news clippings since the last century.
Yeah, that was my freshman year when I beat the top seed in the first match of the tournament.
Yeah, that's probably when they invented the freaking print press.
Wrestled too.
Yep.
They created the unlimited class for my year because we didn't have anybody in the area that was my weight class and another guy's weight class. We went all.
Did they have to take you out to the elevator to weigh you?
We were undefeated. No one in my.
There was a guy they had to take him to the elevator to weigh him, and if he bent over, his boobs flopped out. He would beat people by just falling on them and breaking their ribs.
Today I might have boobs, but back then, no. There was no boobs back then. I remember my getting mad at me for working out because he got sick of buying me new clothes because he had to buy me bigger and bigger clothes. I had to buy such big jeans to fit over my legs, my thighs, that my waist I had to pinch it up. It looked like I had a strap around my waist, a rope around my waist.
Oh, see, these guys had the big hair and the Fabio want to be the look and stuff, but CW and we just went out there and kicked people's asses.
You mean rolled around on the ground with other guys all hot and sweaty?
Yep.
And oily.
Learning how to hurt people with the easiest way possible.
Yep.
We could take a shot in the clams and just keep on going. The most impressive thing I've seen is when guys would go out there with broken arms and broken legs and not just finish that match, but go out there and finish the next one too.
Yeah, I didn't get too much smarter when I had my car accident, broke my back. It was almost before they found the cracked vertebrae. I was complaining that I couldn't lay down, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't get enough, and nobody believed me.
No. Was that in high school?
No, that was probably 7, 8 years after high school.
Yeah. I busted mine 3 years after high school.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, never broke a bone.
Tommy Boy out there says he likes 9mm better than 45. There's nothing wrong with that. With today's bullets and stuff and today's technology, 9mm is perfectly fine for the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9mm is pretty much a king in the competition world right now as well. There's not a whole lot of people shooting limited in 40. There's not a whole lot of people shooting single stack in 45. And even in open division, there's less and less people shooting like 38 super, 38 special, 38 super comp.
Mm.
You know, it just everything is 9mm these days. It just makes it cheaper, more economic.
Yeah.
I mean, in an open gun, if you're looking for like ultimate thing, then the guys go for like a 38 super comp, so they got a lot more room in the case for all different powders and whatnot.
It's no better. They just lowered the standard. It's no better. Benefits for a cartridge doesn't exist. Benefits are for the industry. Every single cartridge benefit, not just 9mm. All that happened was we lowered.
Now I'm going to Alaska next year, and if I go out there in the wilderness and stuff, I'm definitely thinking about buying a 10mm. There's all them folks up in Alaska say that's what you need in bear country.
World War II, we 14, 15, 16, trying to enlist. A war today, 25-year-olds that pass the minimums. It just became drastically.
Hey, Daniel, I just think about if you would identify back then as a woman, you could have been like a state champion.
Oh, negative. I tell you right now, there's some gals out there. Actually, this year there was the first girl state champion, and she wrestled against guys.
She probably had more testosterone than them.
Nah, there girls are actually around here. There are girls that are on the wrestling team, and there's a few of them that they're actually good.
Do they still identify as girls?
Yeah.
These days, you got to ask.
Of course, the girls out here are crazy.
You watch Johnny B? And you guys watch Johnny B?
I know who he is.
He's got a little meme he's got there. Some guy thinks he's a woman, and he's standing at a coffee shop, and they addresses him as Mr. Ma'am, it's ma'am. But in a very deep voice. It's just hysterical. That just made me think of that. What do they identify it? It's ma'am. It's funny as heck.
Biting my tongue.
You and me both.
Oh, don't get me started, because my daughter goes to University of Vermont, and that's a kind of liberal college. They have a
we got some we got some 10mm talk out there. Alan, you been doing any shooting, loading? What's been going on as far as you, man? 10mm.
I haven't been able to get out to the range in the past 2 weeks, but yeah, you want to see a 10mm fanboy, you're looking at one. I absolutely love 10mm. I recently hired a guy that was a former FFL, and asked him for carry 45 ACP or 10 millimeter. He's like 10 millimeter all day long. I'm like, you're hired.
I'm just thinking about it as far as for bear guns.
Luckily, I don't live in an area where I have bears anymore. But I'd still trust my 10 millimeter.
Well, because I mean, I'm looking at Alaska, and them brown bears are pretty big. And there was a guy from down here about 4 or 5 years ago. He was up there moose hunting, went back to go get the second load of moose, and the bear got him, killed him, ate him.
That's an expensive moose.
Yeah.
Yeah. 44 Magnum, Casull. A lot of things I might choose. I've been pretty comfortable with the black bears with just a 357.
At the 220 grain 10 millimeter mold I just got.
It's a what? How many grain?
20.
20, 220?
20, yeah. I actually got it for the 400 Legend, not the 10 millimeter, but it'll work in the 10 millimeter too.
Oh, you gotta make me some CW.
I got many molds. Probably over a dozen.
Yeah, you gotta make me some. I gotta try that in a 10 mil. 220. That's gotta be nice.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one.
I love that FK burner with the 9 and a 10 millimeter conversion barrel. I mean, the 9's a little iffy, but the 10 millimeter barrel works like a charm. Even 40s shooting out of that, 40 Smith & Wesson works just fine. No, but that gun's so heavy, and but that lug on the bottom, 10 millimeters is like nothing.
Okay, so here's a question. Somebody who's shot both 10 and 40, compare. What's the major difference? And how it shoots in your hand, how it feels.
Well, it all depends what kind of 10 you're shooting. If it's like reloading from the hot pot, he loads the freaking 10 millimeter really hot. I mean, you can load a 40 quite a bit of hot as well, but if you're gonna load them equally, there's not gonna be a whole lot of difference.
Yeah, well, you don't have as much case capacity in the 40, obviously, but yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
you can get a 200 grain 40 in a stout gun for probably 1150. You know, a 5-inch barrel.
Yeah.
10 millimeter 5-inch barrel. 200. You can get that going almost 1250.
It's safe to say that most of the manufacturers are manufacturing very light 10 millimeter loads.
Yeah,
I mean, Buffalo Bore and some of the other ones have some pretty hot loads, but most of them are light.
Somebody like that. Yeah. You got to go somebody like Buffalo Bore. A couple of them, Grizzly, some good ones. There's a couple other boutiques. I should be able to rattle them right off, but I can't think off the top of my head. But they're you probably know what they are. You're not going to find it from Remington. Nobody like that.
Yeah. More and more, I'm seeing more 10 millimeter on the shelf and less 40 for sure. And a lot less 357 SIG, which I would have considered. I mean, that's been a backpack gun for me a couple of times.
Yeah, 357 SIG is a workhorse. That's got some power. Got some authority. That's a 357 Magnum with light bullet all day in an auto. But again, we've lowered too much recoil for people, too much blast. It's too noisy. It's not, it's too much.
I always kind of compare somebody's like, is it snappy? Well, it was, it was a G31, so it's a full size Glock lighter gun. It never was. I know he doesn't want to admit it up there, but he shot it. He'll tell you it wasn't that bad. 357 out of that wasn't bad at all.
I remember he tell this story. My wife was never into firearms. She shot a 22 as a kid, Girl Scouts, but not into firearms with her family. She didn't until we got together over 30 years. And I've done pistol classes for 25, 30 years. And I always used to bring her because it was made things a lot more friendly for a couples class. And it made a lot more friendly for women to come. When we're on the range today, and I would be one-on-one with the people because I did really classes, 2 to 4. And I'm on the range with this guy, and we would go. I would let them shoot everything depending on how they did. If they were doing well and being safe and shooting well, we could go 44 Magnum. But if they didn't, we'd stop smaller. Well, this guy was shooting and doing good and going up and going. Where's the 44 ammo? Shooting herself. It is right there. Okay, she takes. I go over to look for the 44 ammo to shoot the guy, and shut it all up. Whole house 44, 240 grain, 1,300 feet per second. He shut it all up because nobody told her it's supposed to hurt and recoil a lot, and you're supposed to be afraid. I didn't teach her that way. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't physically cause pain. It just recoils more. And she shot it all up. Shot all the ammo up. I had no more ammo to do the rest of the class with the big stuff, but she shot 120 pounds. No problem. 7.5-inch Blackhawk. No problem at all. It's all, recoil is all in it's a personal thing. You get told that this is scary and big and nasty and awful. And you're not going to want to do it, and you're afraid of it before you even start. But you're not told. You figure it yourself, and it doesn't really hurt. Doesn't really hurt. Keep doing it.
And then you grab a 500 Smith's snubby and shoot it. Or you watch somebody shoot it and you go,
I shot, what was that? That was a handful. That was a handful.
Oh, it's funny, Allen's always said that I have the Wrist Breaker 3000, but yet he goes up and shoots a 500 Magnum and goes, "Ooh, I want this."
I failed at picking up a 500. I pretty much need to make that happen. I've been kind of slacking on purchasing anything firearms related as of recent because I've been trying to figure out what the hell is going on with ATF and suppressors. At this point, I am waiting a year on my can that's still in lockup, but I'm seeing all these videos coming out saying, "Oh, suppressor times are so cut down, 2 weeks and a month." And we've even seen guys getting them back in less than 48 hours. I'm like, what the fuck? What about the bastards that have been waiting a year?
We had 2 guys at my local shop come back in 2 weeks, and 1 guy come back in 7 days. But they're electronic.
They've been getting them back here in 4 hours next day. The longest has been 2 weeks.
Yeah, and mine was an e-file, so it doesn't make any sense at all. They're not working any of the backlog. They're only hitting them right when they come in, obviously. So I'm kind of wondering if I need to just go cancel my other order and put in a fresh order.
Might not be a bad idea if you can do that.
You can use your other personalities and see if any of them come back any quicker.
I was going to say AllenBePro might come back faster.
AllenBePro would get a super speed pass. Just saying. It's another option.
Yeah,
Well, with that hair right now, it probably
I've made a
would.
couple of number of calls, quite a number of calls actually. I've sent lots of emails. Still have yet to hear anything at all, and very frustrated with it, with the whole damn thing at this point, to say the least. I mean, I can go in and pick up another caliber and see what it does, but yeah, I'm quite frustrated as somebody that already had something in the system, and now we're seeing things turning around in lickety split time. Why?
So why wouldn't you
Um,
cancel your one order then just redo it so you can get it back?
well, at this point, I don't know if I can. I know that there's going to be a certain amount of non-returnable funds, and for certain, but I don't know if I can actually just cancel the order altogether and not take a decently sized hit on the can.
Well, as well as we know how these people work, you probably cancel it and then you'll get approved.
Yeah, and that's actually one of my fears is I'm gonna go in there and say, you know what, fuck it, let's just cancel this transaction. And as I'm walking out the door, I get that email from ATF.
You pretty much guarantee it. You know, you don't find your wristwatch until you buy a new one or whatever it is you lost. You know,
Guaranteed.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. So.
Not quite sure if that would help my plight, Forzax.
Well, go to SHOT Show next year and see them.
Well.
Go to SHOT Show and go up to their desk, where they got a booth there, and ask them, hey, what's up?
Yeah, because I am seriously, if this is what we're actually seeing coming out of the ATF with cans right now, I am seriously contemplating going in and purchasing another one. I just don't want to jump right into that same thing and be like, hey, I'm out here in purgatory again. They're turning and burning them, and I filed electronically, but yet it was the first time I filed electronically. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but
yeah, it shouldn't have anything to do with it.
Because I've been told 2 weeks.
Kind of looking at somebody with I was kind of looking at one with a double stamp, and it would have a CZ written on the side of it.
Nice. See, I was told 2 weeks is the new standard. 2 weeks or less is the new standard.
Yours is probably just routing through the Chinese routers, and it's taking it a little longer.
I haven't actually called Grassley's office. That's not a bad idea, Tommy boy.
Steve's out there, doesn't remember what he uses.
Why don't you just go get another can for a different caliber?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking about doing. I was actually thinking about going and getting something else that was actually 2 stamps. But to coin a phrase, I'm just a little gun shy at the moment. And if that's what we're actually seeing, that's what we're actually seeing. So
is
they
all
should be able to tell me at my actual FFL. So
is all the ADF stuff going so fast, or just the suppressors?
yeah, what the hell? ATF must have gotten their asses handed to them on these NFA times to all of a sudden just like turn on the switch and make it start happening.
They might have lost some funding a little bit. Not enough. If that Republican House had any cojones, they could be defunded in a swipe of the pen. Just saying. Although I think all that other stuff
like
goes
Tommy
through
Boy's saying, for me to contact Grassley, and Grassley is on their committee that designates how much them fuckers get paid anyway. So yeah.
I mean, the whole tax stamp bullshit. It should be, you should get like a card, something like a concealed carry permit, and then you just add a goddamn suppressors to it. Be done with it. There's no reason why it should take that long. You buy it, you already have one, then you got a card, and they sell it to you over the counter, and they just add it to your card. Done.
Well, there's no reason to have to get a tax stamp for a suppressor.
Well, yeah, I get that. I mean, obviously, but what I'm saying is that if they do want to enforce some kind of control and all that over it, I mean, you're already in the system once, right? If you have one, so they should just give you like some kind of card. You buy another one, and they should be able electronically just add it to it. Then again, look who's talking. I'm in New York, so getting political over here is like pulling teeth.
If you go south across the border and then you come back, in a less than legal manner, you probably have a better chance of getting some of these things done. Maybe.
Yeah, but then you'd have to actually denounce, and I'm not going to denounce. And that's the only disadvantage to that plan.
Yeah. Well, I can think of a few more. I'm not really interested in going south of the border for too long. So
no. It's great for a night and maybe a donkey show, but other than that,
donkey. Whew.
Yeah, and the whole tax stamp idea, it had a purpose when they wrote it, and they passed all these laws out of fear and talking about the safety. Well, even criminals then weren't using silencers. And for all those people, well, you got to get a license to drive a car. Well, you know what? I can go into any auto parts store and buy a fucking muffler over the counter. I don't need a license for that. What the hell?
As a matter of fact, there's a lot of states where if you don't have the appropriate muffler on your car, you'll get fined for not having the appropriate muffler. Ones that are too loud would be unacceptable in a lot of states. And those states are almost impossible to get these suppressors, which really, they're not used in crime. And even if they were used in crime by criminals, it doesn't mean that people who are law-abiding citizens shouldn't have them, just like everything else. They can't show me a crime where that's been used. Not anywhere.
Well, and we all know how it all started. It started back in the days of the mob, and they were trying to prevent more crime. But we all know that was just a farce.
Yeah, riding on the backs of fear, and it literally started just like all the bullshit now that starts, where they're using emotions, they're using fears to try and create their control.
Well, and you look at what happens prior. Same thing with banks. The president who was in at the time didn't want to approve the whole bank thing. So what happened to him? He got taken out. What happened to the one that didn't want to approve the ATF? He got taken out. Just saying.
You know, back in the days of the mob of Al Capone and all that, when they were having the gang wars, I think there was less people killed there every month than there is being killed in Chicago now with all these new laws. But I could be wrong.
I think you're right. Of course, back then you could also order a Tommy gun from a Western Auto catalog and have it delivered to your house. So,
yeah, if you could afford the damn thing. The only people that could afford the damn thing was police departments, because, well, it's not their money anyway. And so then the gangsters were stealing them from police departments.
Yeah.
Gangsters weren't out buying the things. They were going out and robbing them from the cops.
Oh, they also would rob them from the National Guard. That's how they got their BARs.
Bonnie and Clyde stole them from armories.
Yep.
From actual army armories. They would want to take everything they wanted.
That was actually a pretty good movie, that redo they did of Bonnie and Clyde with, was it Kevin Costner playing the agent? Woody Harrelson was one of the agents in there. That was a pretty good redo of that whole story.
That was really well done.
I don't know that I've seen that one. I remember Warren Beatty and that one. So same movie, only a remake.
No, this is a different twist. I'm gonna look it up real quick, and I'll tell you what it's the Highwayman, I think is what it's called.
Yep.
I know it was on Netflix. It may be other places now. I think Netflix released it a few years ago when it came out, but it's a really well told story, and it's kind of from the perspective of the agent more, but he's following them around, and then you also see kind of that Robin Hood, like how all the poor people that were living in slums because of the economy rallying behind Bonnie and Clyde and treating them like heroes and stuff. So you kind of saw a different side of the story than you've seen in the way it's been told before. But you see some really, really sexy guns of the era. The bar is definitely one of those.
Those Thompsons are not without merit as well. You know, you can buy those now. Not fully automatic ones, I don't think.
The only one being productive right now is CW.
Deep priming 45 Colt.
Yeah.
Just found a whole bag of Starline I didn't know I had.
The Highwayman.
2019. Woody Harrelson, Kevin Costner, they're the two main investigators, the federal agents in it. It's really well done. Kathy Bates is in it. It's a great story. I've watched it probably 5 or 6 times. It's just entertaining.
All right, I need to look that one up. I'll take old what's his name's recommendation and run with it.
CW is most productive. He wins the award for most productive use of time.
And you said what, 45 cold?
45 cold.
Heck yeah.
Just put about
If anyone's
150.
out there and you haven't shot 45 cold, go shoot 45 cold. It's freaking awesome.
I got another 50 or so here. I just found that needed to prime.
He's finding all kinds of stuff in that basement today.
All because I found one nickel-plated case and I went to put it away and I found 4 boxes full of 45 cold. Dirty. Yeah.
To clean your primer pockets before loading or not to clean them? I deprime them and then I clean them.
Yep, I'm the same way. That was one CMAX taught me years ago. It's not necessarily necessary, but that's how I do it, and that's how I've always done it.
Scotsman, you remember those loads I had that wouldn't function your Beretta or any of your guns? Guess what?
Yep, just a little light.
That was 3.4 grains of tight group. You know what I got it down to now, and it functions in that my Shadow 2 compact?
I think you said 3.1 or 3.2 on the other chat.
Oh, I did. Yeah, 3.1. It aggravates the crap out of my wife because it just on hers is not broke in yet, and they keep stovepiping.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't function well on any of mine at all.
Oh, I tell you what, though, when you go to do double taps, that gun don't move. Bap. It's right, stays right there. I think it's like shooting airsoft.
No power. I mean, what do you expect?
It puts a hole. It puts a hole in the cardboard. That's all you need.
What you need.
As long as you're still getting decent accuracy with it.
Yeah.
So, in case y'all don't know, CW is not a 9mm fan at all. So, and I don't blame him. I'm not crazy about it myself.
See, CW and Jamie are going to be the guy when if the balloon goes up, they're going to be the guys right there with their sassy gear, for cowboy action shooting, the Ruger 6-shooter and the lever actions, standing guard on the bridge.
My 24-inch Henry Octagon barrel 22 Magnum.
I know, Tommy boy. How can that be?
Yeah, 380. What is up with that?
I don't know. I like that caliber though, but not for defensive. Just I like the caliber.
I have all these blue wrenches out there, and I'm having to do all the wrench work. What's going on with that?
I mean, what's up with this guy? I've seen the one before, but I couldn't tell what he was doing, or if you just didn't like him.
Well, we've had a couple lately, and here's the funny thing. So, for those of you out there have seen, probably the last few chats have been removed. Literally, after we end, within 30 seconds to 10 minutes at most, they're gone. And every time, either someone new's out there or something along those lines pops up right before.
I like his channel name.
Right.
Yeah, it's too bad he had to squish his tits together to make that shot.
That looks like it would make pretty nasty.
Well, it's 370 grains as a solid, and it's not quite 240 as a hollow point.
What a cavity.
Can't
Good
even see the
Lord.
bottom.
Is that a cone in the bottom of the cavity?
It's pretty well. Yeah, I guess it is.
I like a mini. Yeah. Nice.
That's loaded to 454.
So have you tested the end result on that? What does it do on impact?
I have not. I was hoping to Coyote willing to stand still long enough, but it hasn't happened yet.
I was always curious about casted hollow points and how effective they actually functioned.
Extremely effective.
Yeah.
But it's all about
Soft flat nose too, though.
like here's
Ooh, nice.
full wad cutter.
Gee.
Pure lead full wad cutter caliber.
Yeah, I would say that transfers some energy pretty nicely.
That's a 98 grain full wad cutter. Pure lead.
See, that was the police round before.
Yep. There's the hollow base. 98 grain hollow base wad cutter. Zero loss. That weighs 100 grams.
What's the hardness of the lead?
That's pure lead. So it's BHN is how it's measured. Is one weight, and that's pure lead, which is about a 5.
Okay.
But it's just a number because you can have, like most people know about linotype. Linotype is very hard. There is harder types. The reason for linotype printing industry, and they would make type that was reused out of harder grades of lead. The linotype was for a once, twice use, whatever. Run. It's used more than one time. A run. So after the run was done, however many sheets printed, it was done. You just melted it down, went away. But sometimes you'll have, like, you remember old books, like the first letter with an S or an A or a B, really fancy for date. Well, that wouldn't be made out of linotype. That would be made out of a lot harder lead because that would be used over and over and over and over again, countless a number of times. Well, that lead, because it's got lead, that lead, that alloy that makes it is usually made up of things that make it very, very brittle. Now it's hard; it's not going to form, but if it's forced like into something harder, it's going to crack and split and form. Where pure lead is very malleable; it's going to form around and hold and stay. So in between those two things, it depends on the pressure it's moved at and the velocity, the pressure it's moved with and it's moved to determines what you feel for that purpose. And you can be really hard like linotype, but be malleable, or really hard linotype and be brittle, all because of the components that make up the lead. It's not a constant.
Okay.
Had this conversation in our Friday night about brass and how brass isn't brass. Brass is an alloy, the brass cases. It's an alloy, and they're all a little bit different. That's why you have guys that are talking about how great Lapua is or Peterson, because that's a different formulation of brass that tends to be a little better. It's probably a little more expensive to make, It's not only more precisely made, it's a better composition. I don't have the other ones here in front of me, but this is 358 Norma that I just annealed and loaded. And if you look at the brass, you can see the very distinct coloration. There, it looks like oil on water.
Yep.
Where heat colored the brass. Well, this is Norma brass. I did Winchester brass, and there was almost no coloration. It looked just dingy because the Winchester brass had a different composition that made up that brass, and it wasn't affected the same way that the Norma brass was.
Yeah, that coloration almost turned into like a copper color.
Yeah, it has. It actually has a rainbow. I can see red, yellow, blue, green. It's almost like oil on water. That line, you can almost see it. And I don't have any. These are all Norma cases here, so I don't have any that aren't. But they all have it. Every one of them has it.
All right, we'll start going through the room. I do have to work tonight, so we'll start going through that. Oh, what's his name? Good to see you, brother. What you got going on?
Me?
You.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Me? Let's see. Taxes, work, driving back and forth to Nashville, and going over to
Hey,
another
enough with the words.
Middle Tennessee. So that's pretty much going to occupy my week.
Always good seeing you. You can jump on, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was good to be
Daniel,
here.
what's
It's good
going
to.
on, man?
Just loading up all my stuff and getting ready to do a lot of shooting this month. And hey, spring's here. The grass is growing. Scotsman, do you got your grass mowed yet?
Probably not going to happen for a hot minute.
Yeah. Well, it's an evil necessity around here, but I think this year I'm going to be doing a lot less. My yard is going to shrink, and I'm going to have more cover for rabbits and deer.
The riding mower decided to quit, so it's probably going to be a little bit before it happens again.
Isn't that what goats are for?
They just eat the weeds, not the grass.
Nah. What a waste.
No.
Ball and
They're
Carries,
really-
what's going on, man?
Nothing. Work, taxes. I'm not even thinking about taxes because my last year taxes, year before 2022, are still not done. So personal life is a mess. So I don't know. I'll get over it somehow. Thanks for having me. Hopefully I'll get to shoot again next weekend, and look for some shooting videos coming up finally.
Good to see you, man. CW, what you got, man?
Thanks for the invite. Good talking to you guys. More videos. I did 3 more videos today. I got them for quite a while now, and I got them all the way out through the end of the month, every day. Just trying to stay busy. It's working. Getting through life. That's about it.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you jumping on. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Jamie, what you got going on, brother?
Just working on some reloading stuff, 6.5 Creedmoor. Need to do some 9mm, all that fun stuff. I'll say this to Daniel: anybody that's got every piece of brass in their house processed is leading a boring life.
No, I am leading a good, productive life.
Good for you, man.
Got to
I
do
can't
something.
I can't wait till I can retire. Guys, thank y'all for having me and putting up with me. It's always great to hang out with you guys on Sunday night, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. Always good seeing you. Appreciate everyone up in the side chat. It's been rocking and rolling out there. Good to see everybody. We apologize. It's been a couple weeks, but different things going on, Easter last weekend and stuff like that. So that's why we weren't here last weekend. But good to see everyone out there. Appreciate everybody out there. And Alan, take us out right.
Oh man, great chat, phenomenal side chat. Appreciate everybody here in the room. I did put together 3 videos in the matter of 3 minutes, but my internet is so slow it'll probably take me 3 months to upload them. So stay tuned to the channel because I might upload a video, I might not, I might retire, I might not, who knows. Probably die when I work, but bye CW. Good gracious, man, he's done with us. Anyway, other than that, keep them magazines loaded and one in the chamber. Woo!